Hi, my name is Chuck. I'm going to use this Bailey's 17 as a sample machine to thread it and wind bobbins and go through some basic procedures on it. So to start with, I'm going to thread the machine starting here. Place my thread on the spindle in the back. Put the cap on and run the thread straight up to the first guide under the handle bracket, and in this case, since we're winding a bobbin, we'll turn the machine back. We'll go clockwise around the bobbin winder tension. Use our class 15 bobbin. Place the bobbin on the winder shaft, pull the hand wheel out, turn the power on, and run it for a little bit until you wear on the thread a little bit, and then just break it off clean. If you want to be sure it winds evenly, we have a new little gadget we're using. We push in here, put this spring on here, and you can run your thread through whichever rung of the spring you want to use to give you an even feeding. Did that before too. It looks pretty even. It's feeding just about even. If it weren't, I could move it into a different groove, up or down, to make it fill evenly. If you want one of these gadgets, just say so when you order something, and we'll include one with it. It's just a spring. When you get it to the height you want, stop. Push it over, break your thread, pop the hand wheel in, place your thread in the bobbin case so it rotates clockwise, pull it in through the slot so it's in there like that, and then make sure it has a kind of a fairly light but even pull to it. It can be adjusted here, but I wouldn't be anxious to adjust, especially a new machine, because they're set pretty nice when they leave here. We'll take that bobbin case, place it here in the machine, and make sure the little arm is lined up correctly, and then just click it and it goes in. Now to thread the top of the machine, we'll take this out of the bobbin winder guide, place it in this guide here. I'll take my spring off for now. Go back of this guide. Notice the tension is opening. When I raise the lever, it opens up to get ready for the thread. You don't want it down through there. You want it down through the tension itself. I usually put it into the tension, lower the foot, and now it's got some pressure on it for threading. I pull down and I go past this number 2 here. And I'll turn the wheel until the take-up lever is at the top. And then I'll run my thread through the take-up lever from right to left. Then it just clips in like that. And there's another little guide here, little wire. And now it's threaded. And I forgot my scissors. Back with the scissors, cut the thread. A little saliva into the needle and out again. Try again. Goggles this time. Front to back. And Now the machine is threaded on the top, thread on the bottom. We'll raise our foot and slide our quilt piece under the foot. Let the foot down, turn the wheel, the top comes toward you. Turn the wheel one complete cycle until this lever is at the top. Okay. Now we'll just pull the bottom thread up and we're ready to sew. Now I've got my foot control set up with this one because I'm doing a practice run before it goes on my quilt frame. So I'll do 2 or 3 stitches, cut the thread, and away we go. As you can see, I'm a real professional. So much for threading the machine. Now I'm going to cut my threads. Put that aside. Take my bobbin case out. And I'm going to show you how to remove and reinstall the shuttle. The little black arms, the right hand arm goes clockwise, the left hand arm counterclockwise, and then you can pull everything out. This little arm in here, like a half circle, is what drives the shuttle. So when I put my new shuttle, when I put the shuttle in, I complete the circle with that. And the ring has a little pin at the bottom that goes in the groove. I'll put the ring on, click the black one on the right, black arm toward the left, and the left arm toward the right, and make sure you feel the click and the shuttle's reinstalled. The next thing we're going to do is some lubrication and maintenance, but I'm going to use a different machine that's already partly disassembled to do that. Okay, now we're going to do some lubrication that would be good to do with heavy users every year, moderate users every 2 or 3 years. So what we'll do is we're going to take these covers off. We have a long shaft down here, a long shaft up here, a little short shaft back here that looks something like this. This is the key shaft that we need to get lubrication to, but we need to lubricate the whole machine. So this is the first screw. I got a handy dandy tool here. And you can even try this at home. Okay, 3 screws there. 2 screws here. Notice the handle bracket is already removed before we started this. 2 screws here. And our end cap, got a wing nut here, another screw here. This has 2 washers. One goes on first for reassembly, then the washer, then the wing nut. So put those all in here. And we've got everything exposed except this area down here. So I'm going to take this out. Okay, now we'll remove the shuttle, because this is the area that we want to lubricate front and back. We'll remove this cover here, which I've already got started at. Put that aside. So we have the long shaft on the top, bearing here, bearing there. The long shaft on the bottom with a bearing at each end. This shaft here with one common bearing. This bearing right here. On later machines, this becomes an oil hole. Earlier machines, you have this notch in the front, and then you lubricate back here. Okay, we're showing this assembly removed from the machine. Whatever you do, don't remove that assembly from the machine. That's a very critical setting. We're only using it as a sample to show where the lubrication goes. The lubrication goes here, here, and on the newer machines, in this hole here, which feeds the hole here. If your machine has some time on it, run the machine with that lubrication on there at a slow speed, needle removed, foot removed, needle clamp snugged up so it doesn't rattle, and run it for maybe 20 minutes, and then lube it again and run it for another 10 minutes or so. The idea is to get the lubrication into this sleeve. This is the critical part to keep lubricated. Okay, so much for that. Where do we lubricate the machine overall? We'll start over here on this end. There's a felt here to lubricate for this upper bearing. There's a felt here for the lower bearing. Then there's a felt in here. And you can oil each side of this bearing here. There are felts in here, each side of that bearing. This shaft, needle bar. These little arms. And that's it. So much for lubrication. Okay, now we're going to put everything back together. Before we do that, I want to point out these little O-rings here. Newer machines, we're using these little rubber rings. Push them on from the front, 5 of them. If one breaks, you've got extras, put another one on. That's been that keeps your thread from sliding down the slot. So now to put the machine back together, we'll start with the little gear cover. Gets one screw in like that. And then a screw and a nut. Then we'll put the end cover on. plastic cover. One washer, and that, another washer, wing nut, a little bit loose until we get the screw in. Tighten up the wing nut. Okay, we got the gear cover on, the end cap on. Now we'll swing the machine around and start with the top cover. Don't drop the screws. Oop, I did. Oop, I did. Okay, this is the, I want to mention, this is a plug that we put in the newer machines for a new lighting system that's coming out soon. I'll just kind of let that hang over the back. Put the cover on like that. One screw here. One screw here. Then the front cover. We call this the upper front cover, and this one down here, the lower front cover. Put that on like that. Wipe off the fingerprints. Now we'll put the right hand front cover on. Start with a screw up here. And this one. And this one. Tighten them up. This cover is a little tricky to put on. It acts as a cover and a machine brace for stiffening. Slide it in like that. And there you got it. One screw and a washer. Another screw and a washer. Cap screws they are. And then a Phillips screw. These are all metric screws. Even though they're made in USA, they're metric. Older machines will have Phillips screws here. A little easier to put in, but you don't have quite the bracing power that we have on this one. This is actually a strengthening member of the machine. Notice how good I am with the wrench. Not really. Last one. And shuttle back in. The bobbin case back in. All set. Okay,